Inclusion's gifts is my topic for this morning. June is Gay Pride Month. It's an opportunity throughout the country for those who understand the need for human freedom to stand on the side of what I feel is only fair and right. And a part of me resents like heck I have to talk about this. It seems so obvious to me. But then again, I'm that way sometimes. My misfortune is to be odd in places where you're not welcome to be odd. I love history. I'd see it as my teacher and my guide. But there are a few things that I've learned about my study of history. The human species is profoundly attached to hypocrisy. It will live generation and generation without denying while denying the obvious. It will move through culture, create literature and art, and live in areas that are shadows, that do not represent the whole and the fair and the true of culture. Sexual politics and gender identity have been a part of human history since there has been human history. But you would think in the United States of America, and you would think in the culture we live in, the last 100 years, it's something new. And the old ways of being, the old hypocrisies, the whole fears that are promoted for some purpose of power, rear their ugly head and say, you're a sinner, you're odd, you're a deviant, because of what life has given you as an identity. So a part of me just says, what in the heck, get over it, get over it. Human beings are made in different ways, in different fashions, and in different styles. Just because you've been shattered from it, because you're uncomfortable with it, because it invades your sense of your own sexuality or who you are, hey, that's your problem. That is your problem. That is not the problem the one who has struggled with, lived in a culture that have made them closet people. That's where we've been, folks. That's where we've been. Oh, we have Oscar Wilde, and we have Gore Vidal, and we have a few examples along the way. But they're oddities. They're not our children and grandchildren. They're not our neighbors. Inclusion's gifts is an understanding and a broadness of love and acceptance that we can see all creation is made up of differences. And that's not good or bad, that's just real. All creation is made up of differences. Do you know what everybody alike looks like? It looks like black and white 1950s TV. And we were nurtured on that. That's mother's milk to us. So we're brought into some kind of revolution that finally the dam breaks. Finally culture has to expand. Finally we're confronted with the reality as a country, and the reactionaries get to the battlements and they bring out their Bibles and they thump it with Old Testament laws that, if anybody's a real Christian, understands that Jesus said, I came to destroy the law. I came to fulfill it in spiritual matters. It's about love. It's not about righteousness. That was lost on people. So here we are today, speaking in a Unitarian Universalist church in Tampa, Florida, trying to say again, we line ourselves, I hope, with folks who seek their own goodness in their own way and have a right to be who they need to be. Love is not conditional. We love who we love, we like what we like, we are who we are. Who said we're not to be? Who? And why? Because you're different, you're inconvenient, you're out of my understanding, my radar? Hey, twist that around. I'm invited to grow a little. I'm invited to test the theory of love and acceptance and compassion. I'm invited to walk a mile in your shoes. What's the matter with that? Why would anybody recoil into hate and fear and oppression? What is that about? Can you get your heart and mind around that? Love invites us to a broader understanding of life, a deeper understanding of life. if we're all the same, if we're all the same, if we're all pallid, if we're all of one color, of one nationality, of one worldview, of one sexual identity, of one geography, we're sort of sad. And there's death there. There's not life. You know what incest does? You know what cultural incest does? It makes for Nazi Germany. It makes for the shape that some of the United States is trying to go through. If you're not with us, you're against us. And if you're not like us, you're odd and you're evil. We must protest that. We must have gay pride parades. We must be uncomfortable in our compassion. Let me say that again. Some of us do not like picket lines. Some of us do not like to be invited to be good people. We don't know how to do that. We're not flamboyant. We're like Garrison Keillor and Prairie Home Companion. You know, we're shy Midwesterners down deep. And we don't know what to do with those people who are inappropriate. Because inappropriate is how we find things that keep us from being uncomfortable. You stay over there and you behave. Do not be flamboyant. Do not dress in pretty colors. Do not have feminine actions. Do not have masculine actions. You're a female. That's bull hockey. That's me being a little person. And it's inviting you to be a little person. And people who do that, promoting divisions among us, are not worthy of our attention. Only to be warnings, only to even be models for us what not to be. Inclusion's gifts is to see a richness in personalities, the talents we all bring, the perspectives we all bring. Life is sort of like this multifaceted jewel set in the middle of a room. And wherever we are and whoever we are, where we stand, as that light comes in, we see that beautiful refraction. And we see that color. And we see that brilliance and that radiance. Well, I just don't want that to be a flat mirror. That's not creative, and that's not what life's about. So with a lot of anger in my heart and anguish in my soul, I have to say, let us be agents of love. Let us overlook the hate that not overlook it. No. Engage it. Understand it. That it is informed by a fear. And a fear based on some idea that someone else's behavior is wrong, so that influences me. So I'm involved with that person to some degree. So if they're bad, I'm bad, and God, life's going to punish it. Such crap. Such faulty thinking. Each of us are a work of art. We start out pretty simple. We have basic gifts, basic qualities, basic functions, and then we have all these influences on us. I'm not smart enough, nor is anyone in science smart enough to know what makes Doak Mansfield himself. I know I've got some ideas. Who made you who you are? We're just a gift. And if you think there are choices made on how I want to be, did you choose when you were born? You like being a girl, boy, white, black? From Alabama, Oregon? You have choices on all that? Well, that's the kind of mentality we bring to this discussion sometimes, that somebody had a vision and had an idea of how we should be, and they push the button, and we drop out. I'm here. Give me my script. Wind me up. I'll be who you want me to be. I'll get that job. I'll have those 2.5 kids. I'll put into the pension. I'll vote the right way. I'll go to the right church, and then I'll die. Boom. Life's too precious. Life's too wondrous. And we in our generation, in the life we live today, in the day outside of us, we have an opportunity to appreciate that. And that means we include in our love, we include in our heart, we include in our imagination all the varieties of life that there are. Oh, there are cottonmouths. There are water moccasins. There are deadly snakes. There are deadly berries. But we're called to the human experience to learn that. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm more afraid of a righteous, saved person than I am a hurting sinner. Because the hurting sinner understands life in a way that the righteous saved does not. Because the righteous saved denies his humanity or her humanity. They are owners of something that is special that can objectify me. As a sinner, as a queer, as a Democrat, as a male, as a boy, as left-handed, all that black-headed, gray-headed. What is that about? Life is too precious, and the reality we have of survival is too dear that these differences have to be overcome. How do we do it, Doak? What's our job as Unitarian Universalists? Our jobs are to be faithful witnesses, by model and by word, that we're all important. Look on the back side of your order of service. Look at those 7 principles. What's the first one? The inherent worth and dignity of all. What is the second one? I love the second one. We miss that sometimes. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. What is this? A rule book? These are principles. You're charged through your freedom of faith to figure out what the big meanings of life are about. We're called to look at these 7 ideas and values of being alive to see how we measure up to those. You can believe a rock is God. I don't care. You treat me right, you're all right with me. If you see that we're part of a creation that we all have to tend to, that we don't get through this scot-free, that we have to invest our time and talents to improve it, to sustain it, if we don't have enough compassion and insight and vision to understand we've got a lot of people on this globe, we've got a lot of resources that are mismanaged, we've got a lot of poverty because of the distribution of wealth and of resources, we have to find creative ways of being in this world that match human need. In wars in Syria, and wars in Iraq, and wars in China, or wars in the ghettos of Tampa, all of those call our attention to understand what it is about human nature, what are the reasons for this. And the reasons for this, more than likely, more than not, are people who preach differences. Of preachers, priests, imams, people in authority, politicians to say, see those folks over there on the other side of that line? They're your enemies. They're heretics. They're infidels. They're different. They're colored different. They speak different. You got to watch them. They'll take your stuff. That's still working, guys. Can you imagine in this day and time that crap is still working? It's working this morning. It's working in this country. It's working around the world. And the people sit there and go, okay, where's my bread? Where's my iPad? Where's my liquor? Where's my food? We're called not to be necessarily... I think Johnny Cash said it, something about he wasn't a hawk about war, but he was a crafty sheep or something. I don't know. It's pretty good. I'll have to work on that when I try to quote him again. We're called to be incredibly insightful and also incredibly creative to respond to the needs of the world. Inclusion involves accepting people as life has given them to be. Does anyone invite who they are? I want to be 4 inches taller, about 34 down here. A lot more adroit in how I think. I like my vision to be perfect. We all have our druthers, but we all end up with who we are, right? Who is someone else to say that's not who you need to be? Who is someone else to say you are of less value than me because you are this way? It calls us to stretch our compassion, stretch our creativity, and stretch our arms to say you're all important. Someone said the other day, I read this, you can't hate someone after you hear their story. You can't hate someone after you hear their story. Maybe that's what we're called to be about as human beings in this world, to be storytellers one to another, and lift up and celebrate who we are. I'll close with an old reading that many of us know, but it's sort of one that's fresh. It's just about a little over 100 years old right now, 101 years old actually. It came from a little poetry book of one of the more iconoclastic and outside the mainstream poets of the time, Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. We are called to be makers of circles, to maintain circles of love and light, to say to the broken, the oppressed, the different, come on over here. Let me tell you my story, and you can tell me yours. I'll trust love to make that happen. I'll trust us to find a better way. Because if it be not us, who will it be? Amen. Thank you. That's totally unnecessary, but appreciated.
To support the UUCT with your generous financial gifts, please go to the UUCT website and click on the Click Here link to donate. It will take you to our donation page, and you can securely make your donation to the church. Thank you.
I've extinguished our chalice, but not the light of hope, the illumination and the power of love, the hope for a better world that we are part of, agents of change and of embracement and inclusion. We're big enough to wrap our hearts and our minds and our loves around the wonder of that life. I believe that, and I hope you do. Go be good to yourselves. Our celebration ends, our service begins.